Hey everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Rogue Legacy. Since this seems to be the game where I'm talking about my sound issues the most, since it's the one that started having sound issues, one of my friends has been kind enough to loan me one of his headsets, basically just to see the difference. I'm sure that you can already hear the difference between my previous episodes and this one, and I guess we'll just get into it. If you remember, we left off with the beginning of Sir Glauber II. He's a Paladin, so he's got the special Guardian's shield. Part of the reason why I chose him was his electorophobia, being scared of chickens. And the ADHD of moving faster is kind of nice. There's no real downside that I've noticed to it, except for the fact that if you're moving faster than you expect, perhaps you end up in a bad situation because you went too far. I've increased my gold drop, so instead of getting 10 or 11 per coin, I'm going to be getting 12. So let's get to it. If you remember, I have 142 gold left that I cannot spend for the life of me. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. I suppose it could be her. Anyway, I'm going to completely ransack this room. Already at 24 gold. Not a big fan of this room already. Unfortunately, enemies are not hurt by the spikes, so I can't do anything clever with that. I'm going to have to time... I'm just leaving this room. I'm going to have to time a lot of stuff well here. Okay, good. I've got some nice damage. So I'm going to be doing... Yes, I can one-shot those mages. Okay, so that's a fake painting. The middle one is not, so I can strike downwards. Oh, and I can one-shot the paintings too. Fantastic. So I'm going to be going on just a giant killing spree, because I can do so much damage. Ahaha, this is why. So, if you notice, a chicken randomly burst out of that table when I destroyed it. And that is electorophobia for you. Ah, okay, so this is actually really nice. If you remember, I have Blade Wall, which is a spell that I don't particularly like. In a room like this, when you've got a pedestal in the middle and a spell, you may not recognize it if you haven't played a lot. Because honestly, those little pictures over there, you don't look at them very often. But I can now take the dagger spell. I guess it's this dagger spell. This doesn't do anything special outside of the run. It just switches my spell. I cannot change it back. You know, the old one doesn't drop on the pedestal or anything like that. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna go this way. Now, those chickens do damage to me, so I do have to be at least a little careful. However, they also always drop drumsticks, which means that I get health. I will more often get health. Ooh, blood chest plate. The blood chest plate is going to... basically the same as the blood cape, just as an equipable to the chestplate slot. I'm forgetting my way through here. Already went there. I'm silly. Now, I cannot one-shot these guys. I'm not as worried about that, though. They tend to hover a little bit before they go in and dash at you. But I can one-shot most everything else, which means this is going to be a pretty gold-heavy run. At least I'm decently confident. I'm sure you noticed me swinging at that chest for what would appear to be no reason. As I mentioned in an earlier episode, eventually there end up being mimics in this game, and it's just a good reflex to have. Swinging at stuff that could be dangerous, just like, as I mentioned, the reflex of swinging at paintings on the wall, even if you're just walking right by them. So I'm going to make an attempt at this and fail miserably. But at least I failed early and didn't take more damage on the way out. So there's nothing else this way, so I'm just going to head back down. Gotta watch out for these guys. That's right, and I have the room that I didn't fully clear. I'm not as worried about this room though now, since I know that I do a good amount of damage. Now, I took more damage than I wanted there, which is unfortunate, but I will survive. Now, to avoid getting caught on these spikes, because as you can see, even just barely jumping through them will set them off, the best thing that you can do is just keep moving. You can get pickups later. They won't despawn unless you leave a room, so use that to your advantage. And I stopped that dash at the perfect moment, or I would have just run straight into that painting. That Doomvis. So a lot of Doomvises right there. Since I don't 100% know what's down here, I'm glad that I... Yeah, so that looks to just be an alternate path if you wanted to avoid going through the top with all the Doomvises, or however you accurately pluralize that. Then you could have... Oh boy. So I took a lot of extra damage that I didn't want to there, and I'm hoping to run into some statues with that will drop me some drumsticks, or that my electorophobia will pay off a little bit more often. It actually makes me wonder if at some point in the updates they actually nerfed electorophobia, because there used to be chickens everywhere. I mean, not so much that you couldn't die. Enemies have started getting stronger. Not so many chickens that you couldn't possibly die, but it reached a level of shenanigans. Luckily I managed to snipe that before it went around. The second they go through the floor, your chance of getting hurt goes through the roof, just because they can come up in a way that you can't swing at them, and come at an angle that you can't escape. Oopsie. Ah, look, a chicken. Oh my. So, this is one of those rooms that... that was one of those rooms that got me in the first episode. There's those wall cannons that don't start firing necessarily right away, but then they just keep firing and they're really dangerous. So there, we get some health. I didn't actually need that mana. Being wasteful. Ah. Okay, so we've got another journal. This'll be good. Journal entry number 4. Everything about this castle is off. I can't seem to keep track of my headings, and there's no sun or stars to guide me. I find myself backtracking constantly, and I must painstakingly map out my progress, lest I go in circles. The maps I have pilfered off of the corpses of other adventurers are breathtakingly inaccurate. It is almost as if they were describing a different castle altogether. Perhaps this place does something to the mind. Or are the stones truly shifting beneath my feet? So as we already know, the stones are in fact shifting beneath his feet, because the castle is in fact different every time. Ah yes, this room. So, by running further into this room to avoid these, I've ended up putting myself in more danger. But luckily I can still one-shot those. So if you look, see right here, that's a pathway for a dwarf. Unfortunately, I do not have dwarfism. There we go. Nice chest at the bottom. So if we had been a dwarf, this path down here probably leads to that path that I pointed out up there, and you would have gotten to avoid a few enemies. But considering that enemies are basically the easiest way of getting money, so, this is actually rather interesting, and you don't see this very often, but this is the boss for the Maya right here. I am not going into that room. I don't know why I keep hitting those potions. There's no way I'm going into that room. I am not ready for that boss. I will get torn to shreds. Chicken! Nice. I needed that HP. So basically from here, my goal is actually to get through and defeat the forest. And as you have probably noticed, I have not yet entered the forest. The forest is off to the right of the castle. It's always off to the right. Just like it's diagrammed at the... trying to run by and open this, and then swing back through. The reason why I am going through... oh my. The reason why I'm going through this again is because, as you can see, I've picked up 2,000 gold, and 2,000 gold is no paltry sum. So it's definitely worth... It's definitely worth going through and picking up all the money that you can every time. Now, if you're going for a specific build, like, you'll see me do it with the upcoming bosses, because each boss is always the same. Yeah, that was bad. But I got 240 gold out of it. I'm surprised I didn't take damage there. I thought I was going to. Ay, ay, ay. This is actually a new room. I have not seen that room layout before. This to me says that we're probably... Man, the Land of Darkness? That means this is also the Land of Darkness. Yeah, that's just a good example of how strong those enemies are. My sword didn't even dent them. So here is the boss room for the castle. It's closed off. It's closed off, I can't enter it. I've already defeated the boss. This stays constant. If you've defeated a boss, you do not have to defeat them a second time. So I've got to go back up. But if you're going for a specific build, if you want a specific character, you know, a specific class, basically, if it's going to make your life easier when it comes to a boss, it's worth waiting and just farming up gold. Oh, good. Chickens! Nice. This means I'll get to go into the forest. Almost full health. Oof. That was a mistake. That was a big mistake. Come here, chicken. Give me sweet meat. Let's see. Well, that was unfortunate. I took a lot more damage there than I wanted to. We can argue whether or not it was worth it, but... Luckily that chicken at least helped me recoup a little bit. Yeah, I just realized that's a terrible pun. Regardless, some bosses are just easier with specific classes. And honestly, I don't think I can defeat the boss of the forest with a paladin. I suppose it's possible. There's nothing saying it isn't. Oh yeah, this is the way to the forest. I'm silly. I even got to it. See, this is one that you can only get to if you're a dwarf. But yeah, because there are some classes that are easier to defeat certain bosses with, there are times where you will in fact want to just get to the forest or the Maya or, you know, the dark underworld as fast as possible. I'm not gonna... There's probably a door at the bottom. Now these slimes break in half every single time you do enough damage to kill them, until they're small enough that they actually die. And these guys swing these around their heads until... I can definitely feel the speed. Until they're killed, in which case they just kind of start bouncing randomly. These are probably the most annoying of the mages. They will just spawn... Wow, I just ran straight into that. But they will spawn spires of stone. It looks kind of like saltpeter, honestly, to kill you. Learning enemy tells is integral to surviving the castle. Right, being able to tell when something's about to attack is useful. That was actually a pretty long run. I made a good amount of money, so I'm gonna call it after this. Paladin, Barbarian, Queen. So, quick rundown. Lady Jenny, Barbarian Queen, so we're going to be a little bit beefy. Have Alzheimer's, which just means that the map isn't really going to be useful at all. Like, I can go to the map screen and it's not going to be useful information. PAD, peripheral arterial disease, if you remember, is no foot pulse, which means that you will not set off spike traps, which is kind of nice. Blade wall, as I've said, I'm not all that keen on it. Another paladin, can't see in 3D, and will occasionally pass gas when jumping through the air. Scythe. Scythe isn't a bad spell. I don't mind it. A miner. You know what? I'll take a miner. I don't yet have the class that I need, so I will not worry too much about being able to get through to the boss. So I'm thinking about what I want. I do not have enough money for the next upgrade here. I need 5,000. I was hoping to get it since I was doing well, and then I just behaved stupidly. I don't know why. I thought I could get through those spikes, and I don't know why. My brain just ignored them. Let's look at some of this stuff. I haven't gotten any new runes. I could take the balance rune instead of the double jump, but honestly, the double jump is really nice. It gets you out of a pinch. I already have that, so there's no need to buy that. So I won't be able to put on the blood chest, which is unfortunate. And the reason I won't be able to put it on is if you look at the weight. 35 plus 45 is above 60. In fact, it is 80. So what I could do is I could budget for that, or I can look at this cape, which is the same. So what I'm going to do, and this kind of comes from me already knowing some stuff about the way this castle builds, as well as what class I want for the forest boss. I'm going to unlock the Shinobi. The Shinobi, a super fast, super deadly warrior who wears a super headband. They can't take a lot of hits, but they can dish out the pain. So here is Haggle. Basically, if you buy this, you don't have to give up all of your money when you go into the castle. Is it really that useful? It's not bad, but it's probably not going to make or break a run. The only time you can really actively save money from run to run is when you get the obol. And it's the only time you should expect to save money from run to run. I'm just going to be unlocking a bunch of characters. It'll give me more variety, and it'll just, in general, be more useful. I could upgrade the miner, but I'm actually going to get Haggle here. And that is because, if I can get to it, this gets me the Lich. And the Lich is what I need for the second boss. I'll explain why when I get to the boss. I'm sure I will make it before I end up with a Lich. But before I get into that, Masters of Life and Death, the Lich has mammoth potential. Every kill grants the Lich permanent health, making them truly dangerous beings. So basically, the more you kill, the more max health you have. And I will eventually be able to upgrade the Lich, which hopefully will happen in the next run. I'll get enough money. I've got a miner, so I may not last as long because I'll have lower health, but I'll pick up a lot of extra cash, hopefully. And when you upgrade the Lich, you can press Y, which is your special ability when you upgrade a class, to convert your maximum HP into max magic power, max mana, which means that if you have the right spells, you can cast them a ton, which is really, really nice. So with only 470, I can either find two things that I can upgrade, which isn't going to happen. The cheapest thing I can upgrade is the mana here, at 240. Which means that since things only get more expensive, double 240 obviously is 480, so I can't buy two things. There's no way that I can manage to buy two things. So I have to pick the most expensive thing that I can afford and use that. Now I'm going to double check over here. How much was the blood chest? I know the cape was, yeah, they're both 500. I figured as much, but it's worth double checking. 375 seems to be the most expensive that I can actually afford. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take damage. It's always useful to have more damage. I'm going to start off doing 30 damage to this level 2 dummy. 30 damage isn't bad. Despite the fact that I've been going up in level. As you can see, I'm currently level 20. Despite that, as the miner, the debuffs that you take to your attack basically it's about how much damage I was doing level 1 with a barbarian, so I'll probably still be able to deal with the first area of the castle, but the forest will definitely be significantly harder, and I'm not going to be one-shotting stuff, so I will have to be significantly more careful. I can't just run in sword swinging and expect to get out alive. But that is for next time. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. Please like, favorite, and hopefully subscribe if you like what you saw. Let me know in the comments below what I can improve upon, anything that you would like to know about Rogue Legacy, or any of my other series, and I will see you guys next time.